shocking message from God: you are better than you think, discover your true worth now. In the small town of Clearwater, shadows twisted beneath flickering streetlights, concealing secrets that had festered for generations. On a balmy night when the moon hung low and the air crackled with anticipation, an unsettling silence loomed. It was the kind of quiet that sent a shiver down your spine, the sort of pause before an explosion. Whispers spread like wildfire, tales of a mystical figure, an ethereal presence who slumbered within the heart of an ancient oak, waiting to reveal incredible truths to anyone brave enough to listen. People spoke in hushed tones about the lights that danced around that tree, shimmering blues and greens flickering like the northern lights, only brighter and more mesmerizing. Local legends had been passed down, of a golden voice that echoed through the leaves, carrying messages from a higher power. Some claimed it gripped their hearts, awakening a better version of themselves, sparking revelations that forever changed their lives. It made you wonder, what did it take to unlock such divine wisdom? The air grew thick with tension that night. Emily Harper, a restless, determined spirit, felt a magnetic pull toward the towering oak. Bound by doubt, her heart raced as she navigated the overgrown path, each step resonating like a drum in the silence. She struggled against the knot in her stomach, reminding herself that courage was a choice. Was this real? Could something as extraordinary as a message from God truly be waiting for her? Just as she reached the gnarled roots of the oak, a sound rippled through the atmosphere, a low hum, growing hotter and louder as if it pulled energy from the earth itself. Emily's breath caught in her throat. She stood frozen. Fear gripped her. What if she was meant to hear something she couldn't handle? What if the truth shattered her very essence? The world around her seemed to hold its breath, and then a blinding flash of light erupted from within the trunk. It illuminated the night, throwing elongated shadows against the trees. The air hummed with electricity, vibrating beneath her feet, and she felt it, that strange, deep-seated instinct that whispered she was about to discover something profound. But was she ready? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. And then, a startling voice broke through the shock of light, echoing in a way so powerful that it shook her to the core: you are worth more than you believe. The words hung in the air, enveloping her with warmth, igniting a fire deep within her. She could feel the truth spiraling around her, the excitement and dread battling for dominance. What did this mean? Who had spoken? Was it a test, or was it a doorway to something larger? Emily inhaled deeply, steeling herself for whatever came next. What else would this voice reveal? Would the answers restore her faith or shatter her world? In that moment, standing in the heart of the mystery, she realized this was just the beginning. The ground vibrated beneath her. Emily staggered back, hands clenching to keep from falling. The voice, resonant and divine, spun her world on its axis. Up was down, left was right, and what she thought she knew about herself, the foundation of her very being, began to crumble. Speak to me. She found her voice stronger, bolder than she anticipated. The light flickered wildly, as though the ancient oak itself was alive, writhing beneath the weight of age-old secrets. What do you mean? Silence, heavy and expectant. And yet, the energy in the air thrummed like 1,000 strings pulled taut. Just when she wondered if she had crossed a line she couldn't return from, the voice boomed again, this time deeper, echoing like thunderclouds rumbling over distant hills. Fear is a prison, but belief is freedom. Face your shadows to step into the light. The words cascaded over her, flowing like a river of electricity, sparking something long dormant in her soul. Emily's heart raced. Shadows? What shadows? The question looped in her mind, but a flicker of memory pulled her focus, a suppressed childhood dream of becoming an artist, silenced by the nagging voice of self-doubt raised by a mother who never quite understood her passion. But did she even have what it took? As if reading her mind, the light pulsed, bathing her in a warm embrace just as the voice continued, "Your worth isn't defined by others but by the fire within you." What if she truly believed that? Just then, out of the corner of her eye, she caught movement. A dark figure slithered between the trees, slipping into the periphery of the luminescence surrounding the oak. Emily's breath caught, the warmth of the moment twisted into something cold, something dark. What was that? Her heartbeat thundered, panic bubbling up. She stepped back, her instinct screaming at her to flee, but the urge to stay rooted fought against her fear. Then came another vibration, different this time, a sharp, chilling sound of a branch snapping. Emily's pulse soared. "Show yourself!" She called out, her voice wavering. The lights around the oak swirled, transforming into a whirlwind of hues before settling into a crystal-clear figure emerging from the dark. A woman, translucent, radiant, yet tragic, stood before her. Emily felt the weight of an entire world's woes reflected in those wide, sorrowful eyes. "You must listen closely to what is unfolding," the apparition whispered. "Secrets of the past do not die, they linger and haunt. You have a choice to uncover the truth or let it ensnare you. What you learn could shatter lives. Are you ready?" The weight of her words pressed onto Emily's chest like a lead blanket. What truth? What lives? Just then, the night erupted with a piercing scream from the direction of town, sending a chill racing down her spine. The light around the oak flickered violently as the figure began to dissolve. "Time is short, Emily. Trust in your worth before it's too late." As the light dimmed, the world around her swirled into darkness, leaving her with one haunting question echoing in her mind: what would she risk to find the truth? With the scream still echoing in her ears, Emily knew she had to confront her past. The unknown awaited her, and the realization struck deep: this night was only the beginning of a greater revelation. What other mysteries hid in the shadows of Clearwater? And who else was affected by this divine message? Emily rushed toward the town, fueled by courage but gripped by dread, desperate to uncover the truth. What she didn't know was that some truths come at a greater price than she could imagine. Emily sprinted through the moonlit path, leaves crunching underfoot like shattered dreams. Breathless, she could still hear that scream, raw and aching, echoing in the hollow of her chest. What had happened in town? The closer she got, the more chaos unfolded before her eyes. A small gathering had formed, a cluster of worried faces illuminated by flickering street lamps. She pushed her way through, adrenaline pumping through her veins as panic gripped her heart. Emily. A familiar face broke through the throng. Marissa, her childhood friend, eyes wide with fear. "Did you hear? There's been an accident, at the old mill." The old mill, its creaks and shadows held so many childhood memories. Guilt twisted tight in her stomach. It was a place she once loved, but not anymore. Images of her mother's disapproval flooded back, mingled with whispers of failure. What kind of accident? She managed to ask, her voice strained. Marissa's features tightened. "They said a fire broke out. But they also mentioned someone went missing." It's chaos. Emily's heart pounded. A fire? A person missing? Her surroundings blurred, everything becoming a haze of shadows. Could it be that the voice, the apparition, was linked to this event? Suddenly, the shrill sound of sirens pierced the air, slicing through the tension. Emily felt a magnetic pull urging her closer to the mill. The fire was a visible manifestation of destruction, a force born from neglect, or maybe, just maybe, something sinister lurking in the depths of Clearwater. "Stay back, Emily!" Marissa shouted, grabbing her arm. "It's too dangerous." But the thought of more secrets buried beneath the ground tugged at her resolve. Emily could feel it, the electric energy from the oak, whispering that her worth was tied to this moment. If she took one step back now, would she ever confront the shadows? "No!" she shouted, breaking free from Marissa's grip. Without another thought, Emily pushed forward, merging into the crowd. Her heart raced, but with each step into the chaos, she felt an undeniable strength building within her. The mill loomed ahead, flames dancing against the dark sky. Firefighters scrambled, directing water onto the blaze while others combed through the wreckage. The acrid scent of smoke filled her lungs, but it did little to quell her urge to dig deeper. Help! Somebody help! A voice suddenly pierced the static noise surrounding her. Emily's heart dropped as she turned toward the call. Bound by worry, she hurried toward the source. A twisted metal beam caught fire-loving arms of a familiar figure. It was Paul, the local mechanic. He struggled beneath the debris, fear in his eyes. "Emily! Help me!" he gasped, sweat mingling with soot on his face. She darted to his side, instincts kicking in. "Hold on, Paul." Her hands trembled as she lifted an edge of debris, but it was too heavy. Panic gripped her heart, yet within that panic simmered the raw spark of determination. She remembered the voice from the oak, the fire within her. "Stay calm," she yelled, rallying her strength, summoning every ounce of conviction she found along the way. If fear could bind her, courage could set her free. Paul's pain-stricken face ignited her drive even more. With a primal shout, she pushed with all her might. The beam shifted, moments feeling like hours, until finally she felt it give way under her grip. Together, they pulled it off, gasping for air as they freed him from the metal grip. "Thank you," he wheezed, eyes wide with disbelief. "You saved my life." Just then, the ground rumbled again beneath them, but this time it wasn't from an oak. It felt different, ominous and primal. The flames crackled like a sinister laugh, trying to reclaim their hold. What did it mean? The whisper of the night, the warnings of the past, pain and bravery, they all fused around her. She had risked her safety to uncover a truth here. But what was the price of the revelation? And as the fire raged on, Emily realized that she had stepped into the dark, stepping toward everything she held at bay. But who enabled the inferno? Who fueled the shadows? As she turned back to the crowd, a figure stood lurking in the shadows behind the flames, eyes glinting in the haze. This wasn't just an accident. Something had awakened, and she knew she could no longer hide. The question lingered in the air, heavy and somber. What other dangers awaited her in the light of truth? The heat from the flames was suffocating, wrapping around Emily like a suffocating embrace. She took a step back, her heart pounding wildly. The crowd had grown restless, whispers spiraling into frantic murmurs. Paul staggered to his feet, still coughing, and reached out to grasp her shoulder. His touch grounded her, snapping her mind back to the scene. "Did you see that figure?" he asked, voice hoarse. Emily's eyes darted back to the shadows, instinctively searching, but the figure had vanished. Just a fleeting presence, yet the weight of its gaze lingered uncomfortably on her skin. "No, but I felt something." It wasn't just the physical danger of the fire she sensed, there was an undercurrent of something darker and more pervasive. As firefighters continued to battle the inferno, Emily's gaze fell upon the remnants of the mill. Once a symbol of her childhood, it now lay twisted and broken, a haunting reminder of everything she had tried to escape. Gritting her teeth, she knew she couldn't turn away now. "We need to find out what happened, Paul." Before he could respond, a loud crack echoed through the chaos, and another beam collapsed. The crowd gasped, instinctively retreating a few steps. The glowing inferno shifted, illuminating something on the ground, a puddle of liquid pooling beneath the wreckage. Emily's stomach flipped as she recognized the color. It was dark and murky, reflecting the flames like a malevolent mirror. "Is that?" Paul didn't need to finish. They both knew what it could be. "Stay back," one of the firefighters yelled. His commanding voice rose above the chaos as he rushed toward them, albeit cautiously, waving them away. But Emily's mind raced with questions. They were still looking for someone, and now the possibilities were multiplying. A fire that wasn't just an accident. The way it flared up so suddenly, was it possible someone started it? Had the whispered legends of the mill's haunted past been true? The notion struck her harder than she anticipated, sparking a dangerous curiosity. Suddenly, Marissa reappeared, her face pale and frantic. "Emily. They said the missing person, it might be someone we know." Her breath caught in her throat, dread wrapping around her heart. "Who? Who is it?" "Liam," Marissa whispered, pain etched in her voice. Liam, someone she had grown up with and admired. They all had childhood tales around the mill's edges, even if she had distanced herself since. The ground shifted again, but this time it shuddered with the weight of unspoken truths. "Emily," Paul's eyes pleaded. "We can't go in there. It's unsafe." But something inside her was a wild storm of impulses, pulling her toward that twisted ruins, soul screaming for answers. "But we have to find him." The harsh sirens blared louder, drowning out their voices, but within her, a whisper resonated strong. "Find the truth, Emily." As she turned back to the flames, a sudden wave of eerie silence fell over the crowd, and every heart seemed to stop. All at once, the fire erupted like an angry beast, cascading embers into the night sky, revealing a dark figure standing at the edge of the light. With a single glance, that figure locked eyes with Emily. The moment stretched into eternity. Every breath halted in disbelief. She felt the weight of countless hidden stories pressing down upon her, stifling her. Was this figure tied to the past, to the strange voice that had haunted her dreams? Was it a warning or a revelation? Heart racing, she took a bold step forward, drawn deeper into the shadows beyond reason. The thrill of danger mixed with something else, an awakening of her resolve. "What is happening?" she breathed, though she was sure of one truth now. This was only the beginning, and the truth wasn't just hidden in the remnants of the mill. It was woven into the very fabric of Clearwater, dark and alive. As she stood there, eyes fixed, she realized she had touched the edge of something much bigger than herself. What other revelations awaited her? Would she be strong enough to face the shadows looking back? The figure remained unmoving, its silhouette stark against the raging flames. Emily's heart hammered in her chest, and when the flames illuminated the stranger's features, she gasped. The face was eerily familiar. "Liam," she whispered, though she knew well he was lost somewhere within the mill's charred remains. The thought felt ridiculous, a spark of insanity in the chaos, but the resemblance was undeniable. The stranger smirked, shadows dancing over his features, and for a moment, Emily felt a surge of dread wash over her, mingling with hope. Paul gripped her arm tightly. "Emily, we should go. Please," he urged, his voice strained as he pulled her back gently. But she couldn't move. Her feet were rooted to the spot, and her eyes were glued to the figure that seemed to merge with the shadows. Suddenly, the figure raised a hand, gesturing towards the fire and then to Emily, as if beckoning her to understand something crucial. The crowd, still in shock, quieted down again, tension hanging heavily as everyone turned their attention to the spectacle unfolding. Fear laced the air thick enough to choke on, and as the flames gained more ferocity, something shifted within Emily. "Get back!" the firefighter yelled, his voice cutting through the silence like a knife. He was trying to maintain control, but Emily didn't want to be removed from this moment. The echoes of Liam's laughter and memories rushed in like floodwaters. She could hear them, faint but clear, the childhood whispers of secrets shared, of laughter around campfires, of stories told under the glow of the stars. "Emily!" Marissa shouted, breaking through the haze. "You have to snap out of it. Can't you see? He's trying to tell me something." Emily exclaimed, her voice trembling as she pointed to the figure. "It's Liam." "Emily, there's no one there." Paul's grip tightened around her arm. This isn't the time for wild fantasies. But Emily's focus was unwavering. In that glowing light, the figure suddenly seemed to morph, shifting between different shadows, a brief flash of Liam, then the phantasmal shape of a woman she recognized from her childhood tales of the mill. Her grandmother. A chill wrapped around Emily like ice, the way it always did when she thought of those stories. With a fierce clarity, she suddenly understood. They were not just specters haunting a childhood memory, they were warnings. Shadows that spoke of dangers buried deep beneath the surface, in the tale of the mill's tragic past, in tales of betrayal that intertwined her family's history with the dark folklore of Clearwater. As the flames surged higher, a fury of heat wrapped around her. The figure stepped forward, closer into the light, its face now completely revealed, twisting into a grimace. Emily felt a shiver slide down her spine. This wasn't a rescue, it was a warning. "Liam!" she cried, her voice merging with the crackling flames. "Where are you?" A loud crashing sound pulled her attention back, erupting from the debris of the mill. The firefighter's shout morphed into the sound of impending disaster, urging everyone to retreat. Her heart raced as she glimpsed movement behind the wreckage. "No. We can't leave him. Emily, we have to go," Paul insisted, panic now threading through his tone. But the potential of losing Liam consumed her. The ruins were collapsing, and with each second, someone was vanishing deeper into peril. "Someone has to know the truth," she shouted back, adrenaline surging in her veins. "Someone has to find him." The strange figure retreated into the dark as if satisfied, but Emily felt the pull of its gaze still. It wasn't just a ghost, it was the key to everything. But in that instant, another loud crackling noise erupted, sending a cascade of sparks into the night. The ground shook beneath their feet, and all at once, Emily couldn't tell where her feet were leading her. Would she run toward the flames or chase the ghostly figure? Would her search for Liam lead her into deeper shadows? An overwhelming instinct rushed through her as she breathed deeply. "I will find you, Liam. I will uncover what lies beneath." And with that promise echoing in her heart, she charged toward the mill, plunging headlong into that inferno where truth and darkness intertwined, fueled by desperation and instinct. What awaited her in the depths of the flames? Would she be ready to confront both the horrors of the past and the echoes of those long gone? Emily thrust herself into the blazing heart of the mill, the searing heat wrapping around her like a living thing. The flames crackled angrily as if alive, licking at her skin while choking smoke filled her lungs. In the chaos, her heart raced. Time was slipping away. Visibility shrank, colors bled into an orange haze. She squinted, searching desperately for any sign of Liam through the swirling smoke. The memory of the figure flickered in her mind like a faulty light. Was it an illusion crafted by darkened memories? Or was it a beacon guiding her toward a truth buried beneath the rubble? "Liam!" she shouted into the growing shadows, her voice hoarse. A part of her wondered if she was insane, but something deeper urged her onward. The figure stood somewhere between hope and madness, now more real than ever. Rumbling echoed through the air as wooden beams crumbled, sending sparks flying like angry fireflies. In that moment, Emily stumbled, her foot catching on a jagged piece of debris. She fell hard, but instead of despair, a strange determination surged within her. She pushed herself up, claws of fear gripping her mind even as she fought back with fierce resolve. "I will find you." The words left her mouth like a mantra, binding her to the promise she made before stepping into this inferno. The shadows twisted around her. Whispers echoed softly, a cacophony rising and falling like the tide. Familiar voices crested the surface of her consciousness, echoes of laughter and love now steeped in desperation. Emily, it seemed to call, a symphony of longing and ache. And then she saw it, a faint outline shimmering in the flames, an illusion shimmering behind the raging fire. She could barely breathe, fear gnawing at her throat. Was it truly Liam? Or just fragments of her imagination, conjured by her desperation? A sudden crash drew her attention back to reality. The ceiling trembled ominously above her, and she knew she didn't have much time. The fire roared, fiercely, and embers rained down, searing the air with their heat. "Over here." She heard a voice, faint but there. A figure emerged through the smoke, silhouetted against the flickering light. Her heart leaped in her chest. It was a man, his form indistinct but familiar. Hope surged, but then a wave of doubt crashed down. "Emily, why are you here?" The voice was distorted, but she couldn't bear to turn away. "You need to leave." "Liam, I'm coming," she cried, lunging forward, but the figure shifted, shadows swallowing him whole. Disbelief threatened to overwhelm her. "No. I want to let you go." Panic struck. She stumbled again, this time into a corner where the walls were less engulfed. The air grew thick with despair and dread, as the memories of whispered lies and betrayal washed over her. Was the past repeating itself? Every secret buried under layers calling to the surface, demanding to be unearthed. As she steadied herself, adrenaline surged anew, compelling her to remember. The tales her grandmother told, the stories of restless spirits, of tragedies woven into the fabric of her family. What was she missing? Her pulse quickened, and an idea struck her like lightning. The figure she saw earlier, was it warning her of something? Or guiding her to discover truths untold? Then it hit her. The fire wasn't just consuming the mill, it was illuminating the truth hidden beneath layers of silence and secrecy. "What do you want me to find?" she shouted, her voice devoured by the crackling flames. "Find me." The echo twisted back, and in that instant, Emily felt a shift. It wasn't merely Liam she sought. It was the knowledge of her past, the key to her family's dark tales, the truth buried deep within the shadows. Determination surged within her. "I won't give up," she cried into the blaze as she dove once more into the swirling fire, desperate to uncover the revelations hidden beneath the ruins. But in the flickering chaos, was she prepared for the secrets the fire would unearth? Would they unite her with Liam or tear her apart forever? Emily pressed onward, draped in chaos, the oppressive heat tightening around her like an iron grip. Each breath felt heavier, thickened by smoke and the acrid taste of burning wood. She blinked against the haze, thoughts tumbling through her mind, each echo of laughter, every whisper of betrayal, stitching together the fragments of her past that clung desperately to her heart. "Liam!" she rasped again, her voice barely above a whisper, but her spirit flew forward, the illusion of the man sharper now, beckoning her deeper. With each step, the flames danced higher, igniting a cauldron of anxiety in her chest. But she couldn't turn back. No choice remained, she was now intertwined with whatever darkness awaited. Bright orange flames flickered, illuminating twisted beams and scorched earth. A shadow surged forth at the edge of her vision. Could it be Liam? She focused intently, willing her heart to believe. Suddenly, she spotted something aglimmer, like metal catching the firelight. She inched closer, dragging her feet through the debris that crunched and cracked beneath her weight. It was a locket. How strange, this solitary object amidst the roaring inferno. A cold wave washed over her. She remembered it, the one she'd seen in old photographs. The one that belonged to her mother. She reached down, fingers trembling, and picked it up, surprised by its coolness against her skin. "Liam," she breathed, her heart racing not just from fear but from the revelation. Suddenly, the smoke swirled fiercely, blurring her vision. This was no mere fire, it was a conflagration of secrets past, ancestors begging to be acknowledged. "Feel us. Remember us." The voices chorused, a thousand whispers weaving through the flames, beckoning her closer to the truth. Emily's breath stilled, a new clarity washing over her. The locket wasn't just a trinket, it held a story, one that tied her not just to her family but to the very spirit of the mill. Wasn't this the place where her grandmother had grown up? Where the echoes of laughter had always held a tinge of sorrow? This fire wasn't merely consuming memories, it was coaxing them out to be seen once more. Teetering between fear and revelation, Emily's heart raced. "I'll uncover it," she declared into the tumult, a mantra shifting within the blaze. "I'll find out what you all wanted from me." At that moment, from the corner of her eye, she noticed the form again, stronger, clearer. Emily. It called, desperation lacing through the distorted tones. Her heart ached, the figure reached for her, its outline flickering, wavering like a mirage. "Tell me what you want me to see," she screamed, battling against the roar of the inferno. But the smoke thickened, the figure dissolving into the chaos once more. Anger and confusion swirled in her chest. "Why won't you stay? I'm here to help." The flames crackled louder, as if mocking her attempt to penetrate the veil of shadows. That a deafening crash echoed through the chamber. The ceiling above them groaned, weighty and collapsing. Instinct kicked in, forcing her forward. The locket stored a pulse of energy, a lifeline connecting her to the past but also a guide to escape. "Liam!" she yelled, desperation washing over her. She raced through embers now raining like burning stars, the air sweltering and the ground trembling. Then, all at once, everything stopped. The vibrant colors of the fire turned monochrome, shadows stretching long, silence swallowing the chaos. Her heart pounded like thunder in her ears. In this stasis, she felt a dreadful weight settle within her. She wasn't just racing against the flames, she was navigating through her very soul. And then, a voice sliced through the silence. "You must choose, Emily." It beckoned, resonating with authority that sent chills down her spine. The shadows pulsed with anticipation, mingling with her swirling emotions. Choice. What choice? The flames roared back to life, time fractured around her. Would she sacrifice everything merely to unearth the past? Or would she face it head-on, unyielding? Suddenly, the choice loomed before her, a mirage. Blooming in the firelight. What would remain when the smoke cleared? Would she discover the depths of her family's secrets or lose herself within their shadows forever? Emily clutched the locket tightly, feeling its cold surface pulse against her palm. The flames surged back into existence, a crimson tide licking at her feet, demanding her attention. Panic clawed at her throat, but the voice, a mix of memory and command, echoed in her mind. "You must choose." The fire danced like a wild thing, shadows twisting, and within the depths of the crackling chaos, the figure reappeared, more defined this time. Liam's face shined with urgency and despair. "Emily, please. You can't let go. I want tea," she shouted, her heart racing. The stakes had never been clearer. She realized the choice lay not in fighting the fire, but in confronting what it represented. A choice between the painful truths buried deep within her family's past or crumbling under the weight of the lies that had gripped her tight all these years. "Are you ready to face what's behind the flames?" The words floated around her, winding through the fiery tendrils like they were alive. Emily looked deep into Liam's eyes. They were filled with a strange mix of hope and despair, a reflection of her own turmoil. What had he seen? What had he learned? "I have to know," she whispered, stepping forward into the blinding heat. The weight of her decision pressed down like an iron hand, but she felt that locket guiding her. It thrummed like a heartbeat, alive with memories waiting to be unleashed. With each step, images flashed before her, laughter, warmth, and shadows flickering in joy that transformed into sorrow. She saw her mother, standing in this very spot, mysteries etched into her expression. "Emily!" Liam shouted again, a distressed echo weaving through the flames. "Why won't you help me?" she cried, feeling the heat swirl around her. "Show me. I need to understand." The air thickened, wrapping tighter around her, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She staggered, almost yielding to the pressure. But a sudden clarity broke through the haze. "I can't let fear take me," she declared. "Not now. Not ever again." As if answering her resolution, the fire exploded outward, a surge of heat and brilliance that blinded her. In that moment, the shadows lifted, swirling away like fog in the morning light. She felt something break inside her, a shift, a revelation deep within, and then she found herself surrounded not by flames but by memories, vibrant and alive. Her mother, laughing, holding her as a child, whispering secrets about their family. Laughter morphed into silence, a stillness that hung in the air like a soft echo. But one memory flickered harder, a face she barely recognized. A woman with piercing eyes filled with sorrow, reaching out from the depths of her past. Emily's breath caught. "Who are you?" She gasped, the name hanging at the tip of her tongue, just out of reach. As realization loomed like thunder, Emily heard another crash. The world around her quaked, the sanctuary of memories shattering like glass. The flames roared back with a vengeance, furious and relentless. "Emily!" Liam's voice wove through the chaos, but she was already enveloped in the fire again, the shadows reasserting their dominance. In that swirling maelstrom, her decision dangled precariously in the air. Understanding came at a cost. As the flames encroached, she realized a terrifying truth: the answers she sought would unravel everything she thought she knew about herself and her family. "I want to turn back!" She screamed into the tempest, raw determination fueling her voice. Suddenly, the ground beneath her shuddered, and a hand emerged from the flames, reaching for her, fingers grasping. "Emily!" Everything froze as she stared into the hellish brightness, the specter before her grappling for her very soul. Was this a glimpse of the truth she'd been seeking, or another shadow waiting to swallow her whole? Just then, the locket slipped from her fingers, a glimmer caught in the firelight, tumbling toward the ground as the choice loomed larger than ever. Would she risk everything to grasp the truths of her past, or would she lose everything in the middle of this pyre of her history? Emily felt time stretch and shrivel in that unbearable moment. Her heart raced wildly as the flames crackled and writhed like desperate serpents. The outstretched hand was impossibly close, yet it felt like a world away, caught in the fiery chaos that surrounded her. "Grab it, Emily!" Liam shouted, but his voice was barely a whisper amongst the howling flames. She couldn't take her eyes off the figure. Who was this ghostly form? The woman's ethereal presence tugged at a long-buried memory, something she had locked away behind walls of fear and denial. The fire flickered, revealing the woman's face in stark detail. Those eyes, they were exactly like Emily's, filled with a sorrow she didn't understand. "Please, Emily." The voice was an echo of her own. "You have to remember." "Remember what?" Emily screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. "What am I supposed to understand?" But the words were lost in the smothering heat that seemed intent on suffocating her resolve. In a split second, the locket lay on the ground, its glimmer vanishing beneath the growing embers. It felt like a lifeline slipping away. She had to choose. Let the flames consume her, or reach for the truth that could shatter her world. "Emily!" Liam cried out again, his tone now laced with panic. She could barely see him through the flames, but the anguish in his eyes anchored her. He needed her to survive. But how could she? With a sudden rush of clarity, Emily turned her focus back towards the mysterious woman. The flames roared louder, a cacophony of crackling and popping that set her teeth on edge. "I can't turn away from this," she breathed. "Show me." She leaned forward, extending her trembling hand toward the apparition. The intensity of the flames grew, sparking a furious wind that whipped around her, tugging at her clothes, trying to pull her back. But her resolve solidified, hardened like steel. This was about more than her own pain, it was about understanding the very fabric of her identity. The woman's gaze pierced through the melee, and suddenly, a wrenching vision flashed through Emily's mind. Blood. Screams. A family torn apart. The devastating weight of betrayal. Mother? The name tore from her lips. Just as uttering it ushered a torrent of memories flooding into her, moments bathed in love, but each laced with unspoken conflict and heartbreak. The truth of an unyielding love twisted with the cruelty of secrets, but just as swiftly as the vision came, it was followed by an eruption of flames that encircled her like a living creature. Emily felt the heat wrapping around her, smoldering as if it were reaching for her very core. "Liam! Help me!" She screeched, eyes wide with fear as she was caught between the spectral figure and the wall of flames. "Let go of the past. Hold on to us." His voice was raw, vulnerable. Did he mean him, their friendship, or a future that could be forged from the ashes of the past. With every ounce of her being, Emily understood she had to make a choice. Faces flashed before her: her mother as a child, laughing, her mother as an adult, crying, and finally, the shadow of the woman trapped in a cycle of despair. "Do I even know who I am?" she choked out, tears streaming down her cheeks, mingling with the heat radiating around her. The hand reached for her again, unwavering. A choice loomed, a dreadful weight resting heavily against her heart. The lingering question hung in the air: would this be her moment of truth, or a plunge into darkness? As she closed her eyes against the relentless blaze, another scream pierced through the flames, echoing in her mind like a war drum. Emily! The inferno flared, daring her to step into its heart, compelling her to embrace her destiny. What would she find on the other side? And then she shifted her weight, her heart pounding with the fear of unknowing, the fire looming closer as she stood at the brink of her past. What happened next would define everything. Would she fall or rise? But before she could decide, the flames exploded outward again, and everything went black. The darkness pulled Emily under like an inky ocean, drowning her senses. For a heartbeat, there was nothing but silence, an emptiness swallowing her whole. But then light erupted, vibrant and golden, cutting through the void. She gasped, lungs burning as she surfaced from the shadows. The mill stood before her, but it was transformed. No longer a twisted wreck, it appeared in its prime, bathed in soft sunlight. The air smelled sweet, filled with laughter mingling with the scent of wood and earth. She felt the warmth of the sun on her skin and the soft rustle of leaves around her. "Liam!" she called, voice echoing but not in anguish. The tension in her chest loosened, replaced by a hopeful anticipation. Then she saw him, standing at the edge of the mill, his features bright and alive. He looked just as she remembered, carefree and full of life. "Emily!" His voice was clear, pulling her closer. "You made it. What is this place?" she asked, taking a step forward. He met her gaze, his eyes filled with reassurance. "This is the space between," he said, gesturing about. "The place where truths can be revealed and the past can no longer haunt us." Just those words made her heart race, the shadows from earlier seemingly washed away. "Are you real? Are we safe?" Liam's expression softened. "You did it. You faced the fire, confronted the truth. It couldn't control you anymore. Your family's past doesn't define you, Emily. You were always more than their shadows." She took a deep breath, every painful memory swirling then settling like dust in the light. It felt liberating to release it. But what about the woman? The spirit at the mill? Emily whispered, still in awe of everything unfolding before her. "I think she was a part of your mom's story, an echo of pain that got tangled in memories. But now, you can take those tears, those hidden burdens and change them into something beautiful. You have the power to rewrite your family's legacy." Emily's heart swelled, hope flooding through every inch of her. "I have to let them go, those memories, that guilt." "Yes," he agreed. "You're not tied to them anymore. The locket you found holds your mother's love and connection, but it was never meant to trap you in that pain. Open it." With trembling hands, Emily reached for the locket that still hung from her neck, cool against her skin. The latch clicked open smoothly, and she peered inside. A tiny photograph of her mother smiled back, shining bright against the darkness. The realization struck deep. This is about love, not shadows or fears. Tears brimmed in her eyes, and she felt the weight of years lifted from her shoulders. "Yes," Liam said, taking a step closer, encompassing her in warmth. "Now you can take that love and live. Your worth is so much more than you've allowed it to be. You have a gift to share with the world." "Will I ever forget the past?" she whispered, fear creeping back into her voice. "Not entirely," he said gently. "But you will learn from it, turning those scars into wisdom. You've already begun breaking the cycle, now create the future." She nodded slowly, finding strength in his words. This was her new beginning, stepping into the light rather than retreating into shadows. "I'm ready," she declared, embracing the truth of her worth. "To live my life fully, without fear." As she spoke, the world around them radiated warmth, the mill shimmering with golden undertones, grounding her in that moment. Everything shifted, colors brightened, and she knew she had claimed the freedom to exist on her own terms. "Remember," Liam said, as his figure began to dissolve into swirling light, "you are enough. You always have been." And then he was gone, but his essence remained, intertwining with the warmth bathing her. With a deep inhalation, Emily returned to reality. The fire was extinguished, the wreckage of the mill now a patch of charred earth. But she stood, whole and unbroken amidst a circle of people watching, stunned into silence. Paul, Marissa, the firefighters, they saw her as she truly was. "I faced the shadows to uncover the light," she declared. "Breathless. And I will no longer shy from my truth." The air buzzed with energy, excitement blooming all around like wildfire, but this time it was every bit bright and hopeful. Laughter erupted among her friends, and she knew there, in the ruins of the old mill, she had ignited something deeper within them all. As emotions engulfed her, she understood this was her moment to foster connections, spark conversations, and allow her creativity to flourish. She turned to face Paul and Marissa, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Together, we can honor those we lost, but also live for ourselves. We'll create, share. I'll share my art, my heart." And as they rallied together, the sun dipped low, casting a brilliant glow across Clearwater. Every shadow held a story, but now she held the power to mold those into tales of hope and renewed life. This was just the beginning, and you have to be part of it. If you felt that spark of courage alongside Emily, now is the moment to show your support. So, subscribe immediately to the channel and don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, and make your voice heard. Flood that comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What do you think Emily will do next? And finally, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share, they deserve this journey too. This is your moment to be a part of something bigger. Let's change lives together.